ladies and gentlemen, Tom from Drekker.
I feel very official.
Very official. You do. You look very official. And he actually sat up when, if you're not watching this on YouTube and you're just listening, he sat up nice and straight and proper.
I have to have good posture for my mom.
So, Tom, first of all, thanks, man, we did this little tasting today. We tasted some stouts. We tasted some Arizona honey. Came up with a cool recipe. So, thank you also to Mark. Mark has been my contact. He introduced me to you via email, and you're just as cool as him, man.
Hey,
so.
Thanks. Yeah, he's number one busy guy around here with keeping this place going and starting our other project across the way. So.
By across the way, you mean like
behind us? Yeah, right
behind you.
Here.
Yeah,
I think we should walk around just peek our heads in there. There's not like a lot to see right now, but it's really pretty cool.
The vision to be able to visualize it. Yeah,
for sure.
So, Tom, let's start with this. We're here at Drekker. We're at Brewhalla.
Yep. Well,
right?
Okay. So this is technically Brewhalla, but now Brewhalla is the name of that building.
Okay.
So I don't know what we're gonna. I guess we're just Drekker Brewing Company now. It's not as cool as it was, but yeah, this is our full. Everything we do is out of this building. So.
I disagree when you say it's not as cool as it was. It's always cool, man.
Thanks. Thank you.
Well, all right. So, this is an Arizona beer podcast. You guys have gone gangbusters in Arizona. People love the beer you guys are producing, and I do as well. The can art, I'm always a sucker for marketing, right?
Yep,
So you get the can art and just the whole package. But then what really pulled it all together for me was, it was 2020. September is when I released the episode. Mark and I did an episode just through Zoom, and it was just it fulfilled what I already thought was the thing. Right, my wife grew up an hour from here. I'm like, you guys have to be awesome, just cool people, right? The salt of the earth, North Dakota, Minnesota, and then I did the episode with Mark, and I'm like, yep, that's it. And then I meet you, same thing, man.
Cool,
Dude, this is awesome. This is really awesome because you see. And I don't want to call you a hype brewery because you guys have a lot of hype, right? But you guys kick ass. You guys make the range of beers that I see in coolers and on taps around Minnesota and North Dakota, and then you look in your cooler. You guys make great sours. You make great IPAs, but there's reds. You have a
lager.
Lager. You know what I mean? So. I love it, man. I love what you guys are doing. I love what you guys are bringing into the craft community. And it's really cool to find a brewery that is very well-liked across the country. Yeah. And then you meet the people. And even the dudes back there canning, they were loving it. Like, they're just a bunch of cool, great people.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think that's one of the things that I'm most proud of, just buying in here and being an owner and just, like, also working here is, like, we have an amazing team. Like, people care, like, It's no surprise. It's not an accident that what we're putting out is as good as what we are here. Like, our culture, that's the root of it. So, like, we treat our people well. We all, like, get along. Like, we're basically. I mean, everyone says the big family thing or whatever, but like we really are. Like, we all, like, we just give each other crap all day, and, like, we pick each other up when we're down and all that stuff. So it's fun to see. That manifested outside and, like, all the way down to the consumer level of, like, you buy beer in Arizona and you can know that, like, we're about what we practice, what we're preaching and that kind of thing. So, where are you from originally? I'm from Fargo.
Are you from Fargo? Yep. Okay. Yeah.
All 31 years of my life I've lived here. Well, I guess technically I lived in Moorhead, which is just 5-minute drive across the river.
Minnesota, which is Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Yeah. So he's not from the state that the brewery's in.
Yeah. But actually, none of the guys that are other owners are actually from Fargo.
Really?
They're all from Moorhead or Barnesville,
okay.
which is another town like 15, 20 minutes.
What's it called?
Barnesville.
Barnesville. Okay.
Yeah, but one of the reasons was the archaic Minnesota beer laws, which have just gotten changed. So, but yeah, that was a big reason to be on the North Dakota side was. That sort of thing, but
it was a 3-2, right? Like
the big one was that craft breweries in Minnesota cannot sell 4-packs of their own beer in their tap room. So they could sell crawlers, but they couldn't sell 4-packs.
And that's still the case?
Or no, they just got it changed.
Because that's why we always get in Arizona, we get the junkyard freaking oil cans.
You would get that, like, all the big breweries. I mean, even like you could. So, but the problem they ran into was, like, liquor stores don't want crawlers.
Okay.
So you buy a canning line to do 4-packs, but then you can't sell those 4-packs in your tap room. So you're doing crawlers and 4-packs.
So you're just making 4-packs just for the distributors.
Yeah.
And then what a pain in the ass.
Which,
man.
and I mean, that's, like, I don't know how the industry survived as well as it did. I mean, good people and good beer, but, like, those crazy problems they were having. So
it's weird how each state has those, right? Each state has their own.
Yeah, seemingly, except for I think Wisconsin, you can do whatever you want. I know, like a lot of our good friends, like brewery friends, are from Wisconsin. You can have like 3 tap rooms, and like you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
There are definitely, even North Dakota has some archaic stuff. Like when we had downtown location and just opened this spot, for whatever reason we couldn't we couldn't brew beer there and then serve it here. So like when we opened here, we had to like scramble and brew like 4 batches of beer. So we have 24 taps, but right when we opened, we had 4 beers on tap because we couldn't legally transfer them.
Yeah.
But we also couldn't go to we couldn't sell to our distributor and buy back from our distributor here because we can't bring in different product. If you serve it here, it had to be brewed here. That law has also been changed, but it's just, it's all these like weird, quirky. And I'm sure that every state has the same thing. With like legislators are just like, this is the precedent, so this is how we roll.
Yeah.
But I think it's getting better, and I think people, like consumers caring about it, is really what's sparking it because that's who's voting. So
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and also when you come into a place, right, and I haven't been around the whole property yet, but like you got that outside area, like these breweries are community gathering spots, right? They really are. Like my kids love going to breweries, right? You know, they drink, the light beers, but,
my daughter's more of a seltzer person. She's 3, but,
Three. She'll get there.
What she really is a pinball person. She goes and puts coins in and hits the coin return. Like we have all those pinball machines out there, but yeah. I mean, and that's the thing that I think, especially opening this new space and being here, is like we're trying to get certain incentives for like not tax breaks but just like delayed taxes.
Okay.
So like we don't have to like harbor a bunch of tax dollars on top of opening a brand new facility.
Sure.
And there's some fight with that, and it's like, well, we're creating jobs in a way because we're building a thing with like 10 different vendors in it.
Yeah.
We're creating. They're all local businesses over there. Like we're adding to the economy here, and it's like I just wish people. And I think they're coming around to it more now, but like we had a talk when you were on your way in here today. There was 100 people in our tap room hearing a TED Talk or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think,
seeing a TED Talk, it was here.
Yeah.
It was actually at the, at
then they had brunch or whatever after, but yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. Well, so, for you, where have you always been on the beer path? Like as far, we're staying, my wife is an hour east of here. She grew up in Perham, Minnesota.
Yep.
And everybody drinks beer. Like it's part of like the culture, right? Like it is really part of the culture because it gets cold as fuck around here.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, you got twofold. So you got the cold as fuck months where you're in, everyone, the only thing to do is drink. You can't really hang out outside. I mean, like there's other stuff to do, but drinking is central.
Yeah.
And then in the summer, all you want to do is crush some beers on a boat near the lakes, which is like, that's all I want to do. Like that's what we did at our Christmas party 2 days ago or whatever. So yeah, it's cool that has come in to be like more of a culture thing. And, but I think while it is true, like I think it was kind of hard to kind of break people of their like, well, I can get a rack of hams for $20. Yeah. Why would I buy, your lager for $14 a 4-pack? And
$18 pizza toots.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. So, but I think people are coming around to it, and it's cool to like have that local aspect and like knowing where it's brewed and knowing the people and stuff like that.
For sure.
So, yeah.
Well, and it's a quality too, right, dude? Like we're sitting we rented a house right on the lake, going on the boat, and I'm pounding Golden Lights, which I found was Minnesota only now.
Yeah.
Right.
Really?
Like yeah. Yeah, so
that's like one of my favorite beers. So
well, they said it was. Now I could be wrong. So somebody said, I think my brother-in-law is like it's 5 states, and I googled it because right on the can it says something about Minnesota, right above the UPC code, or the barcode. So I googled it, and it said because of the high demand. And this was in like 2019, the article I read. Because of the high demand, they brew it exclusively for Minnesota.
Huh.
Yeah, but either way,
I could see that. I mean, it is pretty popular around here.
I can only drink so many of them, man. I just get bloated, and I'm a big guy. You're a big guy. We're not taking another mental level on
right.
Golden Lights. So the IPAs and all, but for you, what was your growing up like? Like, were you always on this path towards craft or what?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I've always been like in the creative realm. So like oddly enough, I was an English literature major in college, which. Okay. What are you ever going to do with that? Like I get that. Like people were. I mean, that was the thing. I played football at a D3 school in Moorhead. So like, part of the reason I was there was the football thing, and also I
What
really
was the
liked
school?
Concordia Moorhead.
Concordia. So my wife went to Moorhead State.
Sure.
Yeah. So she talks.
There
about
used to be a rivalry, but it like doesn't. It's not a thing anymore.
Yeah.
They PC'd it up so you can't like. There used to be kids getting like hazed from you. So Concordia wears these beanies, and like the MSUM kids would like come over and try and steal all the freshmen's beanies and stuff and whatever. But that kind of went away.
Sounds like a rough crowd.
Yeah, it was, I don't know. I don't know if I want to be on the MSUM side of this spectrum. No, I'm not. Like, that's the funny part is like Concordia is touted as like this. You get like a ring when you're done, and like everyone like you flash that in an interview and you get the job or whatever. But I never got a ring or anything like that. But
did you graduate?
Yeah, I did.
But they never give you a ring?
Well, no, you have to buy it, and it was like
$1,000.
Like just out of college, I barely have any money as it is. I'm not going to spend $1,000 for this ring. But so then I did that, and then just like I said, always been in the creative realm. Always earned the most of my life by working hard. So like, ended up getting a job here bartending while I was also working at a bank, and just like one night a week, which happened to be our trivia night, which is like for a while there was insane. Like we'd get at our downtown spot, which is basically enough seating as like the room we're in now, so not super huge, maybe 100 people, and it would overfill with people, and I'd be the only bartender. The other owners would help me just like pour beers while I was making like, we had like a panini press we'd make grilled sandwich or grilled cheese on.
Yeah.
So it was crazy stuff, and worked really hard or whatever. And like the brewer at the time that was helping out, he left, and I went and talked to the guys just like, hey, I remember having a conversation with my now wife, who's my girlfriend. Like, I think I'm going to like ask them to see if I could like learn how to brew.
I might have asked them. Were you buzzed?
No, I think I want to ask them about, and she's like, well, you should do it. That's like, and in my mind, it's like this crazy thing. Like no one can do this. Like you have to know so much, which it is in a way, but also like the basis of it is that hard work aspect. So like,
sure.
I could take anybody who has the right attitude and that right mindset and the work ethic, bring them in here, take 6 months, and teach them how to brew beer. Like it is what it is. I mean, I would have to answer a lot of questions like scientifically later after the fact. I mean, and that's kind of how I started. So long story, we always joke is the 5 of us now that are owners now as I was able to buy in, which has been amazing and
nice,
whatever.
Man. Hell yeah.
But we joke about it now. It's like I was coming in there to plead my case for them to to hire me, and they were pleading. They were coming into the interview pleading to have me start because they were like, we can't pay you that much. Like you're a banker. And I mean, they thought I was a banker, but I like work credit card fraud. Like I wasn't like, I don't have like clients, you know. I was like 20.
Tom the banker.
Yeah,
right?
I was like 24 years old or 23 years old at the time. Yeah. I'm not making great money, and I just really don't like the office thing. So, from there I started up and.
With no brewing experience?
No.
Home brewing
none.
at all?
Nope, none.
Craft beer interest?
Still haven't home brewed, yeah, actually.
Because
why would I? Like, I mean,
exactly.
I mean, there are some guys who still do it outside of work, but like, it was always more difficult to think about trying to home brew than just like, I brew every single day at the time, it was like 14 hours. Darren and I, one of the other owners, like when it was just him and I and one of our, another owner, Jesse, that worked there. It was 3 of us that worked at this downtown brewery and then our taproom manager. And then obviously we had some bartenders or whatever, and I just remember like, coming home and my girlfriend was like, how was your first day? And I think I like passed out on the couch because I was just going from this office environment to like busting my ass for 14 hours straight for like every day. And it was that way for a long time. And like, I think the way I like to work and like that lended itself well to this. I mean, there's all these, meme accounts and stuff about brewing and like how like not sabotaging, but just like it's very masochistic in a way. Like you're just busting your ass like, and for what?
Yeah.
You're making beer and it seems it's such a fun thing, but then you end up like working so hard at it. So got in through that. And then, I really appreciate food and like cocktails and all that like fun taste and like love how my palate works and things like that. And then just kind of through that, just developed a love for the craft. And now I'm running the show and doing the recipes with Mark, and we, schedule stuff is crazy and it's fun. And I can't because I own the place, but I also wouldn't probably trade it for any other job. Just place that you can be unabashedly yourself, and like everyone here is like, it's like a team and it's just fun. And like, don't have to, we always joke, and like, even in our interview process, there's like a quote or whatever. It's like, tell us something about you that seems weird to other people, but but that you define yourself by, like, comma, let your freak flag fly. And it's like, yeah, we're all just like weird and like to have a good time, and like everyone's nice, and we just get shit done. And that's what I love about it. And, yeah.
Dude, you guys are hustling today, right? So we walked in, the TED Talk was just getting done. So there was, I was walking in like, all right, they don't open until 4. I'm like, I don't know where I'm going to find, because I text you. I'm like, Tom, where do I find you?
Yeah.
I'll be here.
Yeah.
Right? And I walked in, there's like 30 people working with the Drekker shirts on. So you guys obviously had an event going on that you had to handle. But just the smiles and just like everybody back there that was working. I mean, it's there's something about this part of the country that just kind of lends that's just kind of natural tendencies of people, right? You know, but when you actually work in a place that you love and the people that you love, and that, you know, because how many times have you had a job? Or, I mean, all right, so I'm 43. We counted one time from 20 to 25. I think I had 25 jobs, right? So I've been all over the board.
Sure.
But there have been so many jobs where you've said, I hate my job, but I love the people I work with, right? Brewing seems to be that where you can blend the two. I love my job and I love the people that I work with. You know, you have to have that.
I don't want to sugarcoat it. Like there are definitely days when I go home and like, I hate this job. I'm gonna, you know, it's at the end of the day, that you're doing something fun with you're producing something that people care about. It's bringing people together, and like all that is great. Like I think a lot of industries like preach that, you know. I mean, like, not to say that there aren't other industries that do the exact same thing, but just like we're looking at, like, I don't know, just like when we worked at the bank, we're bringing smiles to everyone. Like, yeah, we're taking people's money and getting interest off of it, and then the bank's making a bunch of money. I mean, it's like we're a good bank, like people like us, but like at the end of the day, so I think that part of that for our staff and for us ownership especially is just like there's a very tangible impact that you're seeing. Like we have a community thing. Like we've been able to, like, during the pandemic, we like filled up trucks full of supplies and brought it down to like the needy areas of the Minneapolis, St. Paul. Yeah. We did, instead of like a lot of places laid their employees off, we paid all our employees their normal wages to go deliver out for Meals on Wheels. Like we paid them, like we made them work, but like they were doing like things for the community. You know? Yeah. Well, you gave them the opportunity to work, right?
Right. During a time where people were letting everybody go. Yeah.
So just things like that. That's just, that proud to be in an industry like that. And then like,
So where does Drekker go from? All right. So from the time so when did you jump on board as a bartender? Well, let's say owner. Like when you took that step to.
I actually don't know the day on the.
I did ask you this earlier, and I told you I wouldn't hold you these numbers. Now I'm asking you.
The ownership thing is a little weird, just because of like. So I started in 2015 December. I remember very, very vividly, like, because I was between one job going to this bank job, and I needed to make some cash. So a taproom manager, who's still our taproom manager at the time, I knew him from hanging around this different restaurant that I always drank at or whatever. And so it's like, yeah, we can get a job. So started bartending, and then August of the following year is when I just straight up quit my job and joined with them. And I remember it was my second to last day, and I called in sick to go brew what the first IPA we ever brewed, Wheeze the Juice, or the first hazy we ever brewed, Wheeze the Juice with Darren. And he's like, don't you have work today? I was like, I'll just tell him I'm sick. And then that night I got super, super wasted at like a joint bachelorette party. And I stayed at my girlfriend's, my now wife at the time, and I was still like tequila wasted in the morning. Rolled out of bed, fell off of her bed, and like scraped my entire arm up. And I'm like, I can't go to work today. She's like, it's your last day. You have to go. And I was like, oh, you're right. And I was just drunkenly went through my day at the bank and whatever. But
you remember that day a lot,
yeah, that was a very like turning point in my life. It's just a cool thing.
That's awesome.
And actually, so not to belabor it, but like I was at a wedding on the day after I did that, the drunkenness, the same wedding for the bachelorette party or bachelorette party, and they were serving our Drekker beer there, and I was like, yeah, that's I worked there. Like I didn't brew it, but like I've since been to weddings where they have had the beer that I brewed, and it's just still wild to me that like, that beer that everyone's drinking and enjoying is like, I brewed that. So, so awesome. From there, let's see, that was 2016. Then we had 2 years, 1 year where it was just madness at downtown with just me, Darren.
In downtown Fargo.
Yep, downtown Fargo, just me and Darren, brewing and canning and packaging everything. We started with bomber bottles. I remember, like, before canning was a thing for us, which is such a...
Drekker had bomber bottles.
Yeah, you could get ectogasm in a bomber bottle. Yep, and that's a very weird idea. So we did that, and then we went to Madison for like our first collab, like big like collab that we were like, holy shit. We were like, it was Untitled Art, if you've ever heard of them. And they brought us in. We were all like, holy shit, like they really like our beer and whatever. And like that night they like did a collab with us, and they had just complimented us up and down about how good our liquid was, like, and just that stuff. And then I remember we were at dinner with Darren and Mark, and I was just like, can I buy in? And they're like, what? It's like, all right, is there ever opportunity where I could buy in? And they're like, well, we can talk about it. And then from there was kind of the long process of like, mostly for tax reasons, and like the accountants that worked with us, like, just don't let them buy in yet. Like, that would be a lot more work for us, kind of thing, which is fine. But yeah. I think officially 2 years, like well, shit, that would have been pandemic. So yeah, it would have been February 2020 that I was like officially bought in. So yeah, and then from there,
you were bought in before, like,
yeah. I mean, well,
yeah.
And that's the thing is like this was late 2018 when I told them that I was going to do it, and they're like, yeah, we can do that. And then from then it was just like I was acting like an owner kind of already, just owning the product and that kind of thing. So it was an easy transition just to be like into the ownership kind of group or whatever. But
what was it about it that like really drew you in, right? Because I bartended at places, you have these jobs, you work for a really cool company. What was it about Drekker that you were like, this is the fucking place?
Yeah, I don't know. I think part of it was the Darren being like a mentor, like his work ethic is insane. All the owners, come to find out, have insane work. Like, we're all here the most out of everybody, which is super important. And like, I think that was the big one. Like, I'm busting my ass and like I'm working 14-hour days, but Darren's putting in 16 and Jesse's putting in 16, and like Mark is doing his nurse anesthetist job and then comes to the brewery at night, and Mason's doing the same with his engineering job. And like, so it's like, it's easy to buy into something that the ownership cares that much about. Cause and I don't have examples of this necessarily, but I think that there's definitely places like we've gotten brewers from other breweries where it's not that way. Like people come here and bartenders come here for that same reason. And it's like, it's just it's part of it, like
almost like a few people carry the weight.
Yeah, and there's like we joke that it's like the cult of Drekker, which is it is in a way true. Like, we're not making people drink the Kool-Aid or anything, but like it's easy to buy into something that people are so passionate about. I mean, you've heard Mark talk; he's a good speaker, and he's good at hyping, and so I think it was a lot of that, like just comfortable, and like I knew they cared about people too. Like, because they cared about me, and so it was easy to see, like, even now as an owner, like, we're doing a lot for people just as an ownership group. So it's like it's fun to be a part of that and just be proud of like what we're doing and all that.
Well, like you said too, like it almost seemed like when because I've talked to several people that are just like, I don't really know how we got the right people in the right spots or whatever it is. But you said, like, you can train somebody to brew. You can't train somebody to be a good person or not to be a prick, right? Like you bring in the right personalities, the right fits, and train them to do the technical aspect of it.
Yeah, and I think that's something we've just done still. Like, still, if we were going to go find a person now, it'd be hire for attitude, train for skill is always the thing we say. And like, we've done that with Logan and James. The new brewers are a little different. They came from other backgrounds, but Logan actually originally was supposed to get my job. Like way back when. Okay. And he came here in 2021. No, it would have been 2020 because it was May of 2020. Because I remember him being like, I don't know if I'm even allowed to leave the cities to come, because he was brewing in the cities. He's like, I don't even know if I'm allowed to like move up here. It's like there's like restrictions and quarantines and stuff. But yeah, and I mean, like, I think one of the things, not to just like toot the Drekker horn, but things that I'm proud of, because I think it's good to talk. Like, we haven't lost anyone since the pandemic. We've had zero issues with staffing our tap room, and I think that's just because of that reason. It's like we've built a team that like of people who have the right attitude, and then the train for skill later. Like, you might have saw Cole walking around. He's a beer tender, but he's been now like thrust into more of like a warehouse role, where like we have a warehouse guy that does like orders going out, but he takes care of all the in-house warehouse stuff. So like getting cans for the tap room to sell and kegs and stuff. So like doing a lot of that promoting from within kind of thing. And
So where do you remember, right? So, all right, you get involved with a local brewery, and you have these, ideas of expansion and nationwide, right? When for you did it start to be like, oh shit, man, we're just not North Dakota and Fargo, Western Minnesota.
Yeah.
Like people in Arizona are going fucking bonkers over our beers. Like how does that happen?
How does it? Like I think I mentioned to you earlier that like idea that like we work our asses off and we got really lucky. Like that's truthfully what it comes down to in a way. Like Minneapolis was our first big market outside of Fargo, North Dakota. Really, I mean the surrounding area, but and we had just at that time came up with this banging IPA, hazy IPA ectogasm recipe, and we were like, this is amazing. This is better, just as good, if not better, than most of the stuff we've been tasting in the area. And like that year was CBC in Nashville, and we went out there and brought some beer, and then we had other breweries who we thought were like the shit, and we couldn't talk, like would be like starstruck to talk to, be like, oh, this stuff is really good, like you guys got it. Or
They're
whatever.
coming to you saying that.
Yeah, and like
nice.
kind of then a little bit, and then like, but like truthfully, May of this year when I went to Copenhagen, like that was the biggest like holy shit, we did this thing.
Yeah.
'Cause to me, like, and I always make this comparison with like building this building too. It's like I'm here every day. I see the slow progression over time, and then all of a sudden you're just in it. So like you're slowly progressing to like, we're distributing Minneapolis a lot. Oh, that's cool. Oh, Wisconsin wants us. Great. Like we'll send a bunch of beer to Wisconsin. We found a distributor in Virginia because we had to get one for this event. So like, and then it's just all of a sudden now we're in 38 states and like a bunch of countries across the sea, you know, like, and
you guys are across.
So we sell to Brew Export, which is in the UK.
Okay.
And then they have a way that they can sell it to other like bottle shops and such throughout Europe.
Yeah.
And I don't know exactly where we are beyond that, but like they were the ones who got us into this Mikkeller festival in Copenhagen.
Okay.
Because they were the exclusive importer for all the American breweries, and then the Mikkeller or whatever was like, who should we bring in that we don't have over here? And we were on the list, so that's amazing. But yeah, I mean, it's a combination of like knowing what we wanted to do from the start. Like the ownership groups, everyone who deals with that sales stuff has been very like diligent with what we're going to do and like what we're about. So like, kind of comes back to that same thing I was talking about. Like we spent like a owner's retreat like 2 years ago where we were just like, let's define why we're doing this. And then go from there. And like, so our why dictates everything we do. Like we're trying to make these experiences for people through beer was originally it. And then as we got to forming this why statement a little bit more, it was like, it's a lot less about the beer and more about like the experience. So like, that's why we're building this multi-use like hotel and event center. Like we're in for the experience. Like people want an experience when it comes to beer with this, you know, you want all this cool, like funky, like weird beer you've never tried before. Like combinations of flavor. I didn't know you could make pie into a beer, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so like, I think that really helped us just see what we were going to do and not be like, oh, we're just going to slowly go out in a circle from the middle, from Fargo. We're going to find places where people really want this stuff and get excited about it and like rock their world. And like, I think that's number one reason why is like going to these markets with the idea of like, we're not trying to drop liquid just to drop liquid.
Yes.
Like we're in it for we're in it for like the shock and awe, you know, like we're not just trying to make a buck, because sustainable, even like making a buck wise, you're always going to make more money if you can keep redistributing there.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a big part of it.
You were talking about the why aspect of it, and I love that because there was Simon Sinek has a book, right?
That's the work. We all read that book, and then the E-Myth, which is the other like business book. Yeah,
top. So that's my top.
So we read both those prior to the five of us read those prior to us like locking ourselves in a cabin for 3 days in the middle of January in Minnesota. So cold. So we drank cocktails and talked about the why. So
yeah. Why? No pun intended. But why is that so important?
I think for us it was, we were already basically doing it.
Yeah.
It was a way for us to convey that to everybody else, like how we're doing it.
Yeah.
And like, well, the why. We want everyone to know the why so that they can be like, oh, that informs these decisions. And Mark did a really good job. He's a big Simon Sinek guy and did a really good job of bringing us back to that. And like, we can just, if we ever have problems, we just that's the why statement. We just go back there and start there,
light, dude.
And then we go out of there, you know. So, and I think, like I said, we're already doing those things. So like for us, I remember just being there as the five of us, we were kind of like a few of us were just like, why are we, like, oh, this is kind of silly or whatever. But having that and just being able to convey that, I think did a really good job. And then like then we know too, like there's a lot less stress on you as an owner too, to just be like, well, we don't have to worry about problems because we just go back to the why. And like, if it doesn't make sense with that, then we can just skip that idea and go to the next or whatever. So
what's from the top down, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody from the person who's just ringing up merch, it's like, what is the why, right?
Yeah.
Like it's that baseline to be able to make decisions and, represent the company.
Yeah.
Right?
And it made it easy. So it was not easy sitting there for 8 hours for 3 days straight, like banging our heads against our
Feeling like you were
notebooks,
back in the bank.
Yeah, just being like, oh my God, what are we? We had all these like those big easels with like, and Mark got he was so excited to have his big Sharpie and writing on there, and we like hung them up all over this log cabin, and it was like someone walked in, and it was like the Pepe Sylvia scene from Always Sunny. We were like, we said earlier, and we'll take a word from this, and then it was like Mad Libs and whatever.
Yeah.
But it worked out really good, and I think just since then it's just been just having it defined. Like we're living it,
Sure.
now we have it defined, and now we can just proceed. So, yeah.
So, all right. So you guys you're taking off, right? Because I'm trying to time when I first saw Drekker in Arizona, because to me, like I said, I'm a sucker for marketing, can art, right? Right away. Drekker's cans just freaking flew out, like incredible can art. It's the same guy, right?
Yep.
Same guy
Punch
does
Gut.
all of them. Who is it? Punch Drunk?
Punch Gut.
Punch Gut.
Yeah. So Punchy, we just call him, his actual name. But yeah,
Punchy.
He's just wild, man. He comes in and just such an easy dude to work with, and just he's friends with Mark prior.
Okay.
From Mark just liking his art, and like he has a day job.
Yeah.
Like
really?
Well, he used to. I don't think he does anymore. Thanks a little bit because of us, but like also like he was just like a graphic designer. Like he worked on the NDSU football logo, or like the athletic logo for NDSU, at his day job.
Yeah.
But yeah, and does like this really grungy gig poster stuff, and we were like, that's so cool. I can't even remember how Mark came upon him to like, we should have him do the can.
Yeah.
He did a couple like t-shirts for us and like essentially gig posters for our anniversary, like our first anniversary.
Nice.
Kind of spiraled off of that, but he's just unbelievable to work with, and it's a mutually beneficial relationship. But I don't know, I'm just floored every time he does it. And we'll get texted, like, he's like a 2 a.m. guy, so he'll be like working at like 3 a.m. and Mark will get a text and like, what do you think of this? And like, so, but he's wild, man.
Oh, I know, as I'm going to like it. Yeah. I mean, like right here. So you had part of the brew house wrapped.
Yep.
But this is actual paint.
Yep. So this was
hand painted.
He didn't hand paint this. He drew it, and then he's got like like anybody else, he's got friends in like other sectors, and this is a company that does like this for a living, like blowing it up. Which the cool part about this is like you can look at it now, and then like you can step back like all the way to the other wall, and it's like a completely different perspective. So it's really wild. And we're doing in the new building, we're going to do some sort of giant like 4-story version of something like this.
Dude, hell
so
yeah.
that'll be rad.
Did you guys know that the artwork was a big draw, or was it kind of one of those things where it's like, holy shit, man, people are, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
a combination, I think.
Yeah.
I think right when we like started, we got the first label out, because I think Wheeze the Juice was the first like official label he did for us.
Okay.
Actually, that might be wrong. Might have been Broken Rudder, but I think Wheeze the Juice was the first label where we were like, we said Zombie Pauly Shore was all we said to him, and then he came and he legitimately just came back with the that label of Wheeze the Juice.
Wheeze the Juice.
And it was like, holy shit, we can just tell this guy like something awesome, cool that we want to do, and like he'll just rip it out. I'm trying to think of another like example of something like that.
Are they all pretty much like that?
A lot of them, like nowadays, I think it's more like he doodles and draws, and he's like, here's like that IPA sometime around midnight. He just sent us that out of the blue.
Yeah.
Pizza Toots was that beer was one of the first beers we brewed at this place, and I mentioned earlier like we only had 4.
Yeah.
Didn't think it was that was the test IPA for the system. So like we didn't think it was going to be good.
Yeah.
So we just like, it was code name. We always joked about naming a beer Pizza Toots, and like that'd be such a dumb name, and like and so we did it. Codename Pizza Toots as a test batch, and it turned out awesome, and we really all liked it. And so we're like, fuck it, we'll throw it on tap. And then it was just on tap with like a dumb little like Jesse, one of our other owners, was like a graphic designer, so he just did like a plain Jane like graphic design thing. And then Thanksgiving the next year, we all just get a text, and it was just this pizza farting a rainbow, like, and he's like, well, I made a label, so now you guys got to can it and label it. And that was from Punch Gut, our artist, and we're like, well played, sir. So like then we made Pizza Toots. But yeah, that beer was fun to have as the opening beer here because you get a lot of like town people that just are like, oh, the new brewery's open. We'll go see. It's like a lot of old ladies, and they're like, I'll have the pizza beer and like, what? Which one? Pizza toots. It's like making these old ladies say toots to you. It's like, yeah.
And in this part of the country, they don't want to talk about. They don't want to talk about their toots.
I mean,
you
like
know?
we had a beer, still one of my favorite beers. Rest in peace, Drive-By Glitter Bomb, and it was a sour saison, not like it was a kettle sour. So like the reason we don't make it anymore is because we kind of feel guilty that it's like not a spontaneously soured awesome saison that we are capable of doing now that we have like the people to do that. But anyway, so we name it Drive-By Glitter Bomb, and we get like these frat boys coming downtown and be like, I'll have the drive-by. The what? And like make them the Drive-By Glitter Bomb, like make them say it out loud so that like it's like we run into that a lot. We're like, well, our taproom managers, we have two of them, and we'll be like, this is the new beer. And they're like, no, you can't name it that. We're like, what do you mean? It's like, well, people aren't going to say that. They literally won't order it because it's like it's like a phrase. It's like a long 2-sentence name. I'm like, all right, fine.
I'll take my butthole stinks because I haven't showered in 3 days. IPA, please.
Even this beer, actually. This beer is called I Don't Know No Snakes from Home Alone.
Okay, yeah.
And people don't call it that. They're like, I'll just have the lager beer. It's like, well, that's fine too. But,
I don't know no snakes. That's actually good. My wife would love that.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know no snakes.
Snakes.
I don't know no snakes. Well, dude, cheers, man.
Yeah,
once
cheers.
again, thanks for joining me on this. This has been great. We tasted the beer earlier. Phil, I don't know if Phil's super quiet. My buddy
He was
Phil,
very quiet.
Very quiet. That was the most excited I've ever seen him my whole life. He was very excited. Everybody had seen him today said, dude, like, Phil, are you excited? Jackie was like, Phil was so excited. I'm like, really? I guess, yeah.
I hope it was cool. I never know.
It was so
I was
fun,
just hanging out with some family friends like that. He lives in New York, and he was back in town, so I was hanging out with him and his family, and they just kept, like, they talked to me the entire time about the beer stuff, and I'm like, that's cool, but to me, it's not interesting. But, like, him and his brother are both artists, like ceramicists in New York. They like make ceramic art for a living, and it's like they're all like hyped up to talk to me. I'm like, I just go work.
Bro, tell me about Pizza Toots.
Yeah, kind of like
artsy
that.
people.
Yeah.
What's the inspiration behind Pizza Toots? Well, so what is the future of Drekker, right? Because I know you talked about one of your guys back there that I didn't meet him, but I saw him walking by. Tall guy, curly hair.
Yep. Hard to miss. Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, he is. But he is. Do you want to talk a little bit about what he's excited about?
Yeah. So I mean, he's one of the guys that our kind of philosophy when we were starting to hire like outside of that original, like the hire for attitude and train for skill thing. He was like the first person we hired for skill. Also happens to have an awesome work ethic and attitude.
Sure.
Which is great. But like kind of one of the first people like, we don't do this yet, so we're going to seek out the person who knows how to do that. So that would be spontaneous sours is Logan's specialty, and like the thing he like rides, or like he's been to this small brewery in Norway called Eikentid, where they do like all like quake beers, but like spontaneous fermented, like from the hills of Norway. They just like find people who have these. He described it once to me as like there was a guy carrying a tin bucket of yeast. He carried it from like this wooden bucket. He scooped it out of the bucket, walked inside, and dumped it in a fermenter. It's just like it was open to the air.
Yeah.
It's just like sitting there, and he just like scooped this yeast out and put it in. And he's like, there's all these crazy stories about like what they can do with yeast over in with those quake strains over in Norway. So that's a big part of his stuff, is doing spontaneous like beers like that with the quake, and then he's kind of getting us started on a more like traditional spontaneous wild fermented stuff.
Nice.
With like we got a Flanders that we put in a barrel, but 2 years away.
That's how long it takes.
Because that's how long they take.
Yeah.
But then he's just going to do some more like just golden sours with just some spontaneous stuff. We have some ex-Lawfully, New Belgium Lawfully barrels that have, still have the bacteria in them. So all you need to do is pitch.
What is that? I've never heard of that.
Lawfully, it's New Belgium's one of their like famous like sours.
Okay. Okay. You talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I felt embarrassed. I didn't know what
No,
it was.
that's okay. If you like spontaneous sours, it's about the best, one of the best that you can get.
Okay.
Especially
Nice.
on like a commercial level.
Yeah.
Like obviously like the Jester Kings of the world and things like that.
Yeah,
like
for
there's
sure.
tons of great sours out there. But Logan lives and breathes that, so we're hoping to do a little bit of that. And then we're looking at the expansion project also within that realm is going to have fooders, so we're not fully decided if we're going to inoculate those or just let them be sour fooders, or if they're going to be like something we could finish a oak aged lager in.
Yeah.
Things like that. We'll just kind of have to see with that, but that's kind of the future for like the brewing side. And we're just going to keep doing what we're doing, kind of work in some classic styles every now and again, because like we want to drink those, people want to drink those, and then Brewhalla, the big multi-use event space next door, is just kind of where we're going next. I mean, it's going to have there's 4 restaurant concepts, some retail, some ice cream.
4 restaurant concepts?
Yes.
Nice.
Well, okay, so there's wood-fired pizza. There's like a foodery, which is just a bunch of like really rad stuff. Then there's going to be pastries, juice, like a juice raw or like a fresh squeezed juice bar, charcuterie, and then a raw bar and wine bar. Dex's coffee place is going over there. There'll be a coffee place.
Thunder
Coffee,
Yep.
Gelato. I think I already said that. Yeah, it's just going to be a crazy mix-up of all this.
Right?
Yeah, well, probably my death, because I'm going to spend all my money and get super, super overweight. But, what are you going to do?
Guy, you can carry it well.
Yeah. Back to my playing weight.
Yeah, that's right. Ah, jeez. Not talking about. I was 245 my freshman year in college.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now I'm about double that. I feel.
I was 315 my senior year, but I was an offensive lineman, so that made sense.
315 senior year of college.
Yeah.
Dang, you're a big dude. And how tall are you? 6'5"?
6'5".
Yeah.
So I wear it well though, like you said. But we're headed back there drastically because the gelato, just for one, is just unbelievable. It's so good. But yeah, we're super excited about that, and just hopefully get around and do more and more collabs and more festivals, and that's kind of the thing, man.
Love it, man. Love it. Well, hey, thanks for taking the time. Tom, I know you're a busy guy. Mark, I know Mark wanted to join, but he's out and about today.
He said he double booked like 3 meetings, including one that I was supposed to go into with him. So
you bailed on a meeting for me?
No. He was supposed to meet. Wednesdays are weekly, like we call it New Beer Goofing, where we just think of the new beers for the next months or whatever come.
Yeah.
I think we're already into October, so we're gonna hammer that out. And big anniversary party coming up. We're doing 8 collabs.
Dang.
And we're going to do 2 mixed 4-packs. So there'll be 8 different collab beers and 2 mixed 4-packs with a bunch of different breweries.
When's the anniversary?
September 17th or 18th, whatever the Saturday is. We're doing the big release on Friday, like brewery only stuff. And then Saturday will be like the big party where I can't remember. I don't know if we've officially announced or if we've even hammered down who's going to be. Big concert, and we do like blow up games, like a big giant messed up carnival with like flash tattoos and all this crazy stuff. So
nice.
Yeah, it'll be a good time.
Excellent, man. Well, hey, thanks again, dude. Really appreciate the time. And I'm going to wrap this thing up. My wife was just texting me. She's like, let's roll. Let's eat lunch.
All right. Sounds good.
What's a good lunch place in Fargo?
Ooh, there's a lot of options. Depends on what you're in the mood for, but the good Thai place right down the road.
Okay.
There's like a good fried chicken sandwich spot, literally
right.
Brewbird's
or whatever?
Really good. Blackbird Pizza, can't recommend that. Like their crust is literally as good as Italy pizza that I've had.
Nice.
Yeah.
How is the craft scene in Fargo?
Craft
scene, just in general, like
beer,
craft
like
food, beer.
Well, I'd say our food keeps up with just about. There's not a lot of options, but like you can find pretty much any cuisine. Like that Thai place that just opened up is literally in a gas station strip mall, where most all Thai food places probably should be, because they're just like, it's good. They're amazing. It's just like this younger couple, husband and wife, and just like that's a good example of it. And then like one of the places going in here, they do he's a James Beard nominated guy. Nice. And then so we just got he has 2 restaurants already. One's next to that junkyard. He's doing a place over here. Food's great. And then we're just slowly, like, downtown is becoming a lot cooler. Like, it's getting bigger, and there's, like, cultural stuff to do, and there's, like, always, like, a cool bar, and, like, cocktails are coming around and everything. So, like, you find pretty much everything.
Nice, man.
So, yeah.
Nice. Tom, thanks, dude.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it. I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to have one more beer before my wife gets here, so.
Cheers.
Cheers,
yeah, and then we'll be like, honey, this is my first one, and you want one?
There's one called Snakes. She'll love that one.
Yeah.
I don't know no snakes.
She like lagers?
She does like lagers, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
My wife likes just the fruitiest ones.
The fruitiest lagers?
No, the fruitiest, like, beers that we have.
The beers, like
which is fine.
The sours and stuff?
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense. Like Chris, my buddy that came with me, doesn't like sours for the most part. He drank that. He was like, holy shit, that's
They're
good.
Fun.
Yeah.
And that's like my mother-in-law. She'll be like, well, I I don't really like beer. Can I try it though? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, oh, it's so good. I'm like, you don't have to pretend to like it for me. Like, I don't care. Like,
Right.
there are people who like it, and it's okay.
They're across the country, 38 states
I don't
to be
like
honest.
some things too.
Yeah. Well, dude, thanks again,
Yeah,
man.
cheers, man.
Appreciate it, buddy.